Most people have never heard of it. Some people even have trouble pronouncing it. But here are a few things you need to know about a little seed called quinoa. Commonly mistaken as a grain, but it is actually a seed. Gluten-free and easily digestible, quinoa has all the proper nutrients of grains as well as seeds. Prepared like a grain, this superfood is an asset to vegetarians as well as those with gluten sensitivities. Vegetarians like it because they get their extra protein they need, as well as those with gluten sensitivities can use something like quinoa flour to bake delicious breads. Now, let's go check out the versatility of this superfood. And for our first dish of the day is going to be the first dish of anybody's day, which is breakfast, and I like to call it quinoa with poached eggs. And all we need is a few little handy things everybody has in their fridge: zucchini, spinach, and scallions, carrots for added nutritional value and color. And of course, now you can use water, but most people who like extra flavor and added nutrition will use vegetable broth and a little bit of coconut vinegar, and of course, the quinoa. Okay, now what we want to do is do 2 parts vegetable broth with 1 part quinoa, and you want to make sure you get a vegetable broth that doesn't have any refined sugars such as high fructose corn syrup. Now we want to bring this to a boil, and while we're waiting for this to boil, you want to definitely rinse off your quinoa. Now we'll do our 1 cup of quinoa here, and make sure when you boil it, if you do use water, you want to use distilled water because regular tap water contains fluoride, and we don't want that. Okay, now you want to get all the quinoa in there before the vegetable broth boils away, then you have to add more. And it'll generally just cook all the way through. Okay, while that's boiling, we're going to chop up our vegetables. Now we've already got some of our carrots already chopped up. We'll add some of those. I like a lot of vegetables. You can never add too many, much like spinach. Let's throw some of that in there. Now the shallots we're going to use at the end as a garnish, so don't worry about those just yet. And now let's cube up this here zucchini, and you can make that work. Now that we added the zucchini to the vegetables, we're going to make our own version of a vinaigrette that consists of 2 parts olive oil, 1 part coconut vinegar, and of course some unrefined sea salt for flavor. And now we're going to whisk it until it's emulsified. And we'll add it to the vegetable mixture here. I want to just mix this up here real good. Okay, now we're going to add our quinoa to the vegetables. And you'll notice because the quinoa is still warm and there is spinach, it will whittle down quite nicely, as well as give a lot of flavor to the quinoa itself. Okay, now we're going to poach the egg. Now the key to poaching an egg is to be very gentle. You want to heat your water up to where it's not extremely boiling, but you want it to be simmering. And you want to gently put it in a little bowl and just kind of slide it into the water like that, being ever so gentle. And then just let it sit there and simmer for about 4.5 minutes. And the water should be about 180 to 190 degrees. And give it about 4.5 minutes, and then we'll pick it up and set it over here where it can dry out. Okay, now we're going to plate it up. Presentation is always the second most important, the first being the nutritional value. And just plate it like this a little bit. You want to have it to where when you put the egg on top, it doesn't roll off to either side and break the yolk. We wouldn't want that. You don't want the kids screaming at you. Okay, now let's get a yolk. I have a poached egg. Set it gently right on top there. Don't those eggs look wonderful? Oh yes, they do. Okay, now for a garnish, we do want to add something for green. So we'll chop up some chives here a bit. Sprinkle a little of these on top, just for a little garnish there. Maybe a little paprika if you have some available, just for color. All right, and there you have a nice, healthy, easy to make breakfast that's perfect for the whole entire family. Okay, now let's try our hand at the quinoa bread, and that consists of 3 eggs, and I have some quinoa flour as well as garbanzo and fava bean flour, both gluten-free and wheat-free, about 1 part of each. I have them pre-measured for you. Now once we measure it, we're going to have to take care to get the right consistency, because that's the most important part, obviously. Okay, we've reached the consistency that we're looking for. Now we can add our other ingredients. Let's add a little bit of garlic powder. Be kind of generous with it. We want to add some flavor. A little onion powder and salt. And the next thing is the most important, is the raw organic honey. You don't want to use regular honey because raw organic honey still has all the nutrients intact. Okay. Now let's get this to a level of consistency that we like, and then we can throw it on the cookie sheet. We're going to throw them in the oven at 350 until they are golden brown. And we'll go watch TV until then. Okay, our quinoa flatbread is done. And we'll pull this out and let it cool, and we'll turn it into garlic bread. Okay, now we're going to try a dish called quinoa kushkush. But instead of cornmeal, like you would normally have in couscous, we're going to use, you guessed it, quinoa. And I have some red bell peppers here, and some red onions, and some black currants. Okay, now we're going to add our red onions to the mix, our red bell peppers, not too many, and our black currants, just for color, and some refined sea salt. And how about a little bit of olive oil? You got to add a little olive oil to everything. Okay, we'll stir this. Okay, with our quinoa kushkush, a nice pan-seared chicken breast goes very well. So we're just going to season it with olive oil and salt and pepper. And then we'll just sear it on the oven. It goes real good with the quinoa kushkush. Okay, now let's recap. We did a nice breakfast dish of poached eggs and quinoa, and we made a nice flatbread over here that we pasted with garlic and olive oil. And for dinner, obviously, we have our kushkush quinoa with nice pan-seared chicken breast. 3 delicious entrees, and it didn't take very long at all, and they're extremely healthy. And always remember, a nutritious diet is the first step to good health, because you have more control over your own health than you might think. Thanks for joining us, and we'll catch you next time.